My name is Reyna Montoya, and I am a DACA recipient. And in terms of reflecting on the event, my role was the lead organizer of the whole event.
My name is Jose Patiño. I am a DACA recipient. I was a DACA recipient back then as well. And for the event, I was the action lead for United with Dream.
Not one more! Not one more! Not one more! Not one more!
My name is Ileana Salinas. I have DACA, so I say I'm documented. And my role in the vigil was I was an activist supporting with singing for the vigils. So I consider myself like a member of the group, but also an activist. I just happened to be there when it happened too.
We couldn't figure out a schedule to stop the bus. So what we had decided is we can't do that. How can we bring attention? And what we decided to do is a civil disobedience action by basically blocking entry to the ICE offices, and 4 individuals had volunteered. So on Wednesday, in the middle of the day, with the help of other organizations and some training to civil disobedience, how to do what happens if police comes, or what are your rights, and all these things that you need to know ahead of time. So it was Alejandra was there, an undocumented mother, Edith Garcia and Francisco Luna. They were DACA recipients, and then Maria Castro, who was a U.S. citizen, but her mom was undocumented. They were the ones who who changed themselves to the ICE fence.
Part of the planning process, we did wanted to stop an immigration bus, but we never thought that it was going to be possible. The timing of the situation, it was unpredictable. Like the buses didn't have a specific set time, so we kind of lost hope, and we didn't think that was going to happen. So that's why the 4 individuals decided to chain themselves to the ICE facilities, and they got arrested. And on the same night, that's when we saw an actual immigration bus coming out.
So we just ran and grabbed the signs from the action earlier in the day. So we grabbed those signs and we ran in front of the bus, and it obviously stopped in front of all of us. And I just remember chanting,
Not one more! 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 Not one more!
Stopped the bus. I was just so angry. I wasn't thinking. Honestly, I don't know, for maybe 30 or minutes. I just felt like I wasn't thinking. I was just there. When I kind of came back to what was going on, it was when the people, you started pointing out that there was the security guard was coming, and he had a shotgun, but I think he was just coming forward. And then when he moved, you can see the people in the back, and they were raising their hands, and you can see their chains. And then as we were then standing, some of the people went to the sides, and you can actually have a better look. And they told us it's mostly are women. So then I started thinking about my mom. What would I want somebody to do if this was going on to my mom? And I was do something. So for me, it was we have to just do something. And that was kind of the more standoffish, when they were pointing the pepper spray at you. You can see that taser gun a little bit to the side. But I wasn't gonna move. Enrique Jose wasn't gonna move either. And yeah, so then we talked to police, City of Phoenix police, and then also the ICE negotiators. So we're not gonna move. So ended up deciding that they were going to arrest us.
The arrest ended up happening in, I think, around 2 a.m. in the morning. I can't remember the exact time. And the bus decided to back up. And I remember holding the big banner, and I'm like 5'2", so there were other people who supported. They had arrested Jose and Ray Jose. And we took the banner and we were walking and saw how that bus was pushed back. And everybody was there. I remember sleeping over. I actually slept overnight outside of the floor in the sidewalk because I wanted to not leave until people were released. Jose and Ray Jose ended up getting released, and I stayed. I had of course shower, and the next morning I just remember brushing my teeth in the sidewalk and just trying to be good. And then we started seeing people coming out, and one of the men that I got to meet was Marco Antonio, and he shared with me his story that he was going. We recognized him, and I was like, "Were you in the bus last night?" And then he was like, "Yes, I was in the bus," and he started thanking us, and he was really emotional, and he shared with me that I was like, "How did you get arrested?" So I wanted to get a little bit more about his background, how did you get to be in that bus? And he said he was going from work to home to finally see his 3 little kids and his wife, and a sheriff pulled him over, and he asked him for his driver's license. As undocumented people, we don't have driver's license, and that's how he got in deportation proceedings. He had never been in trouble with the law or anything, and this was his first encounter, and that meant that he was gonna be deported. So for me at that moment was kind of holding a lot of pain and sorrow about how many people have to go through this, and then yet a lot of sense of joy and gratitude that at least for this family, for Marco Antonio's family, he was gonna be reunited and he didn't have to be deported because of our actions. So as I reflect now in the 10-year anniversary and thinking about how this has changed me, is I reflect that about that day, that Wednesday, that Thursday when I got to meet Marco Antonio, and also a Friday that was really painful because on that Friday I saw another immigration bus driving and we just didn't have people or the capacity to stop it. So I think that action really impacted the way that I perceive things and my determination of working with children and youth and having a very trauma-informed practice where we not only focus on the policy that is so crucial that if we could change laws that doesn't have to put people like Marco Antonio or like my family in deportation proceedings, there would be less trauma, there would be less pain, and if we had a process for folks to finally get in line, right? You hear that argument, why can't people just get in line? Well, there's not a line that exists for us. If we were to have a process to document the undocumented, we wouldn't be here. And in the meantime, there's so much pain that is happening in our communities. And I often think about Marco Antonio's children, even though that I don't know them. I hope that they were able to reconnect and be grateful to be together. And then yet I think about my own story with the threat of family separation and thinking that I'm still healing. I'm still healing of not being able to see my dad for 9 months.
I had already been an activist for many years before that. But I think that after that, it did 2 things to me. One, it showed me that we do have a lot of power, and it also showed me that this is a long journey. And so I realized that was just one bus, and the next day another bus left, and then the next day another bus left. So, and this is just Phoenix, and so it felt like, what can I do? But at the same time, it's like, I know that this is more of a marathon. Social justice and my commitment to social justice is for the rest of my life. That's the way I see it, and I might play different roles. So even in that action, I was more of a musician or a visual leader, but then I became more of an activist, and then an actual civil disobedience activist, and then now I work in a different aspect of social justice, which is more about around education, and but it's still, the flame is still there, like the purpose is still there. It's to continue to fight for the betterment of the lives of people who come here and who struggle a lot for a better life. And again, I always go back to this belief. This is my core belief that all of humanity, and even more than just humanity, like we're always looking for a place where we will have a better life for ourselves and for our children. And so immigration is a human right, and until it's seen that way, I will use and do what I can so that I can put my 2 cents, or like give what I can and use what I have towards that purpose.
I don't know if all of us believe this, but I think like we believe that we can do something great, or that if the moment comes in, there's stuff that we could do. Maybe like in sports, like, oh, just put me in, coach. I'm gonna be able to score or something like that. I think that was like a feeling that I had, that like I could make a difference. I could have an impact. And once we were able to do it and be part of that, something that had been done here in the country in that kind of way. And then I think I got a lot of support from the community. Some people didn't support me. People didn't understand what I was doing, that I was being a child, being reckless, not understanding what was going on, because we didn't know who the people were in the bus. And my dad was supported when I was a kid, and people wouldn't have known. But I wish that somebody would have stopped the deportation. I wish somebody would have done something. I was an 11-year-old kid, and I always told myself that whenever I get of age, I'm gonna be able to do something. I'm not gonna cower in the corner and cry because I don't know what to do, and I'm too young. And it was, for me, it was really gratifying personally, that whether it was this opportunity that came or this thing that happened, and I took action to do something. I didn't sit on the sidelines. I was scared, yes. They knew it was gonna happen, no. Were my parents mad? Yes. With people didn't understand, other people didn't understand. But I was really proud of myself for taking action, for doing what I believed in.